Good morning and welcome to the Partnerships webinar this morning. We're going to get started momentarily. Well, good morning. Let's get started. I'm Tiffany Tauschek, the President and CEO of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, and we want to thank you all for starting your day with us. Happy Friday. We're excited to host the first event in our Business Insights webinar series. So today is focused on cross-industry collaboration for growth. And over the summer, you may recall we hosted the Economic Outlook webinar series, and we saw this next webinar series as an opportunity to dive deeper into some of those key trends and themes that we heard during that series this summer. So we're really excited to hear from these three leaders today to discuss how collaboration leads to continued success. Before we begin, I just want to note that this is an invite-only virtual event. It's open exclusively to Greater Des Moines Partnership investors and affiliates. And additionally, we ask that this conversation be considered off the record, and therefore the use of AI, note taking, or other transcription tools is prohibited. So thank you for your help and collaboration on that. Now, I am so delighted today to introduce our panelists who have great expertise, are great examples of collaborators, cross-industry collaborators here in our region. So joining us today, we have Dave Keith, the CEO of Wellabe. We have Catherine Kunert, Vice President, Economic Connections and Integration at MidAmerican Energy, and David Siebert, CEO of NCMIC. So we're going to start off with a few questions, but of course, attendees, you are welcome to drop any of your questions into the chat box, and we'll get to those as we're able throughout our discussion here today. So let's start with each of our panelists giving just a quick 30-second self-introduction of you, your organization, and then we'll dive deeper into the conversation. So, Dave Keith, let's start with you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name's Dave. I'm President and CEO of Wellabe. Wellabe is a health and wealth solutions provider that serves over 850,000 customers nationwide, mainly in the senior market. We are based here in downtown Des Moines, and we employ about 400 people.
Excellent. Thanks for making time for us today, Dave. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next up, Catherine Kunert.
Thanks, Tiffany. And I am Catherine Kunert, as noted, Vice President of Economic Connections and Integration for MidAmerican Energy Company, which is a natural gas and electric provider in a four-state footprint, serving more than 420 communities, more than 1.6 million customers. And we have more than 3,000 employees across our service area. And then we're also part of the Berkshire Hathaway Energy family.
Wonderful. Thank you, Catherine, to you and your team for making this webinar possible by providing power. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. And finally, of course, so excited to have David Siebert, the new CEO of NCMIC.
Thanks, Tiffany. Great to be here. NCMIC is an insurance and financial services company based in Clive. We're actually closing in our 80th year here in January and employ about 220 people. We started working with chiropractors 80 years ago to protect them against professional liability claims. And today we've really expanded to work with chiropractors, healthcare providers, and a lot of small businesses in and around Iowa through our Professional Solutions brand. So really excited to be here.
Very good. Thank you. And thanks to each of you for your leadership and for keeping your business so strong here in Central Iowa. We really appreciate it. So we're going to spend a little time now talking more about cross-industry collaboration. So if you could each provide an example of how your organization has helped create a competitive edge or open a new growth opportunity because of cross-industry collaboration. And Catherine, would love to start with you.
Well, excellent. Thank you. And, that's such a big question. And it's almost what we do all day, every day is we have to cross-collaborate. We're the utility provider, and everybody needs us, whether it's a home, a business, or, a large industry. And so as you think about that cross collaboration or that competitive edge, what MidAmerican has tried to do is ensure that we are connecting with all of our customers and figuring out how do we best collaborate and how do we provide that competitive edge. So in our space, we think about our rates, our costs, because we work to the three-legged stool of the affordability, the reliability, and the sustainability. And so thinking about that, our customers also have that. So we have to figure out how do we marry that up and how do we collaborate in order to ensure that we're meeting their needs. So with us, our rates are obviously a driver of economic development. And it's also how, people are considering their affordability and where they're going to land their businesses, right? And so with us, we think of the tools in our toolbox. So we have our rates, they're 42% below the national average. Our reliability, we think about the 7 nines, the 99.99999. That's how we're able to have some of these industries and businesses in our footprint because we can do the affordability and the reliability. And then we think about the sustainability and what MidAmerican has been able to do by collaborating again with our customers. We hear them, right? And the investments that we've made, particularly in the renewable energy industry, has really helped us with that third leg of the stool. But it's really that all of the above approach too, so that we don't miss out on the affordability and reliability and maintaining that competitive edge. So, we have, more than 7,000 megawatts of wind, and we're building more solar. We had approval this year that we're going to put 800 megawatts of solar in. So on an annual basis in Iowa, we have our Green Advantage program then. So our customers can claim that renewable benefits and those attributes so that their carbon free footprint on an annual basis in the last year was zero carbon emissions through what we provided them on an annual basis. So that helps them with the sustainability goals of our customers. That's pure collaboration. It's listening, it's understanding, and how can we do what we do to support our customers so that they can go do what they need to do.
Excellent. Thanks, Catherine. And a lot of those reasons she just listed, that's why MidAmerican Energy won an Economic Impact Award from the partnership this fall. So congrats again on that award and recognition.
Thank you so much for that honor.
You bet. David Siebert, same question.
Yeah, I would say that, NCMEC has enjoyed a very strong relationship with so many leaders and organizations in the community. This includes us working with the partnership, of course, with local chambers to not only elevate our brand, but also develop our team members. And I would say an example of that has been we've looked to send a lot of our high potential team members through leadership development programs in the community to give them real world opportunities and experiences. But also just as important, it instills, I think, this sense of the importance of giving back to the community. And from my position, or from my perspective, the connections that these team members make through these events, through these programs, really open doors for us and opportunities just as a business in general. So we see that as a great chance to collaborate within the community and really enhance our brand and our image.
Very good. And we appreciate that. It's very clear that is a commitment of leadership and you at NCMIC. So thank you. Dave, same question.
Yeah, and I'll be even briefer because Catherine and David hit on some of the same areas. One thing I was going to say, and David could find this similar is, we're a small insurance entity in a very large industry. So one of the things that we rely on and have to have are really good partnerships and to help us deliver solutions. And I always say we have a really good grip on our core competencies. We know what we're good at. Then we need to say the things we aren't good at, let's go seek out partnerships to help us fill in those gaps, whether it's to serve our customers or to put new products or solutions in front of our customer base. And I find that our team is very, they're set up where they know, I call it the not invented here syndrome. They're willing to go outside the four walls and look for things, like locally tech is a big thing in this industry. It's moving faster. We don't have all the capabilities. So we partner with a lot of local firms to help us advance our platform and our strategies, which has been a tremendous benefit for us in the long run.
That's a great point, Dave. And even you talking about, the size of your organization compared to the size of the industry overall, that's the same approach we take with regional economic development. We're stronger and have obviously strength in numbers when we're collaborating and working together versus each community on their own. Let's collaborate and lift up our region as one. So there is power and strength in numbers too.
Right.
So really, really appreciate that point. Okay, now we're going to shift a little bit more to talent. I know, David, your team, you just recently won some great recognition for being a top workplace, but I would ask all of you, David, we will start with you. As we're hearing from our investors and affiliate chambers of commerce and regional chamber members, they're talking continually about the importance of attracting and retaining talent in the region. So what's working well for you in attracting and retaining talent? David.
Yeah, I think for NCMIC, it's our brand in the community and a very strong culture that we have and that we're known for that really allows us to attract the best talent. I think we're known for being a really great community partner. And what we're finding is that, talented people want to be a part of an organization that not only has great compensation and benefits, but also it gives back to the community. They love that sense of being a part of something bigger than themselves. Certainly, we're finding that our team really enjoys our hybrid work schedule, our commitment to making the collaboration days that we do have in the office together meaningful. We're very intentional about that. And then certainly we really put a lot of focus in making sure that our team has opportunities for advancement at NCMIC. I think I'm a great example of that, having kind of worked my way up from the bottom into my current role. So those are the things I think that really help us stand out and have really led to a lot of our success.
Excellent. Thanks, David. Dave.
Yes, similar to David, I was going to lead off. Our brand and the community connectedness are really key in attracting. We find that when we bring people from outside the region, outside the state, they come in, they usually stick almost 9 out of 10 times. They really like the community, right? So the fact that the community is warm, it's embracing, it allows for a lot of these people to ease in and feel like they're being adopted, and that to me is a huge plus. We try to take a long-term view on when we hire, and thinking about like where things are going with technology and AI and all that. We find that we have to look farther out. What we're hearing from our applicants are things like, hey, this is exciting. You're actually thinking about how you could help me build my skills for the future. Yeah, we have to, right? We're going to invest in you because if we invest in you, you'll invest in us and it's a win-win. And then the community wins all the way around. We use standard things like LinkedIn Recruiter, right? Those types of platforms. They work very well. And then when we get them on board, we put them through what we call kind of a long-range development and training program. We're small, right? So we have to be flexible and think about sideways versus up in terms of growth and trying to tell people, be a role player. If you're a role player, the door, so many doors open up for you. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave. Great examples. Catherine.
Yeah, I have to double down on what both David and Dave said, particularly around the ability to be involved in the community and find those partnerships and that corporate citizenship work of being able to not only give your time and talent within the company, but also within the communities. That is just an invaluable, it's a customer satisfaction driver, but it's also an employee satisfaction driver. So now when I think about the question about how do you attract and retrain, I think there's several things that we do. One is, again, we collaborate, we partner. So some of that obviously is if I think about the partnerships that we invest in so that we ensure that there are those organizations who are helping shape talent as well early on. So in particular, for us, we have the Avenue Scholars Program, where is a great partner. It's an and that we have invested in and brought into the community, But I think about those partnerships that have been around for a while too, whether it's JA or IJAG. It's important for us to invest in those organizations because they're doing work we don't do, and they're the experts in that. Just like we're the experts in providing energy, they're the experts in doing this. And then we think about organizations like yourself, Tiffany, around the Legacy Project. That's another addition, because I think what's really cool in our space is we're identifying those gaps so that we can collaborate and we can benefit from what each other's talent is. And it's a benefit to be able to do that, as well as to have that ability to cross collaborate. And then a little bit more, I think, geared toward Mid-American, but others are doing as well, as you have to get into that talent early. So we have launched in the last couple of years a high school internship program. So we have a very robust high school internship program. We have a very robust, with the secondary education. We have obviously a very robust apprentice program, and then just how do you, in working with the trades and the trade schools. So we try to hit on all cylinders. And we also then, I think, are trying to get connected at that local region, which makes sense, right? Because we need employees in some very small communities, and we have some very large, communities that we're working in as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for those examples. So you've all touched on what's working, right? And what you're doing, what your approaches are. What would help you? What do you need to help with talent attraction and retention? Let's see, Dave, let's start with you.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question, Tiffany. I was going to say to attract. So there's two headwinds that I see just being the Wellabe and domicile inside of Des Moines. One is it's the insurance haven in terms of Iowa, right? And quite frankly, across the U.S., outside of New York, Iowa's number two in terms of when you think of the insurance industry. So we tend to, when I think of that on those headwinds, we kind of split the same candidates, right? Pool with other insurers. So it's really, okay, how do we make Wellabe a really good place, attractive for them? And then the second one is just our size. And we look at that size to say we should be able to take advantage of unique opportunities. It may impede, like I said earlier, upward growth, but at the end of the day, you're a large fish in a small pool versus a small fish in a large pool, right? So there's opportunities to do a lot of interesting things. I always find that, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier, is the community is a lot of people we recruit, they're family oriented, right? They come in. Des Moines, just Iowa itself is so great for that, is to maintain that and make it vibrant, right? When people see that and get engaged, we try, for what it's worth, we try to engage our people when they come in to say, here's all the ways you can volunteer, you can get involved in the community. We set them up with a mentor in the business, in our company, so that they can help them think about, where do you live and how do you think about this? And if these are the things you like doing, how can we maybe get you engaged so you're doing more? I guess the help part is continually making that available, and awareness, right? Bringing the awareness back to the corporate offices. Sometimes we are so focused on running the business, we forget, hey, there's these things out there we can really get engaged in. One of the greatest things, I'll just put a plug in, has really energized our culture and our people, is the corporate games. Oh my goodness, right? The 5 months we do in the Des Moines corporate games, it's competitive. We do so many events internally to get prep for it. So it really brings together this team atmosphere. And I've heard people who've come on board from, we've recruited outside, they're just blown away. It's like, we had no idea you guys have this kind of environment here. So that's a big positive, by the way.
That is excellent. Love to hear that. We also, we've partnered and of course support and are involved in that too. And that's always fun Just don't ask me to run any more track and field events because I'm done with that. Okay, Catherine, same question.
Yeah, so if I think about where we're at with, all of the things that we can do in the talent and retention, it is those things about the community and providing those additional opportunities. I think about corporate games too. That's something that we are very active in as well. But it is really finding those opportunities that give you that edge. And it is, I would say, well, it is about obviously the benefits and all the things about that, but being engaged in the community and finding those ways to support different initiatives. We just are, we think about our workforce. Some folks love the Habitat for Humanity. Some folks love, the park cleanup. Some people like, working at the Playhouse. And so those sorts of things that help with talent, I think, are really awesome. I think the other thing that we do is that our industry, if I look internal, our industry is changing all the time. And that helps with talent attraction as well, because we have so many opportunities within our company. And we're now more than just keeping lights on, right? We are truly part of the conversation. People think about us now. And so, it's not just a large business now that thinks about us. Everybody thinks what type of, energy is powering my house. So I think that those opportunities in a very robust and vibrant industry help us as well to do some of that talent attraction.
Excellent. David.
Yeah, similar to Dave's comment, NCMEC is I'd say small to mid-size company. So for us, it's all about getting out there, making sure that we're known, people know who we are. To Catherine's point, we see a ton of value in really encouraging, empowering our employees to get involved in things they're passionate about, just to give them that space. Bigger picture, I think it's really important that cost of living and access to housing in the area remain affordable. It's important that Des Moines be a place people want to stay, raise a family in. It's important that the community is vibrant. There be lots of opportunities for recreation and lifestyle. I think the quality of life here, once you get to know Des Moines, is amazing. And I'm always just so surprised at people who have these preconceived notions about what Des Moines is or isn't. And once they get here, they're just blown away and they fall in love with it. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to share that because I don't want it to change. But I also know that it's great to get more people aware and to bring more people into the fold here. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, Tiffany, I would love just to double down on that. The amenities, the placemaking, that is such a huge aspect so that we can compete for that talent. So David, I think you just knocked it out of the park, and that truly, it should be at everybody's top of the list. And it's why we do some of the things that we do as well.
So let's appreciate that. And let's talk a little bit about specifically some innovative projects or initiatives. You've all shared some examples of getting your team members involved. But is there anything else that stands out to you as you think about collaboration that's happening across industries or in our region that you're really proud of and excited about? So an example of an innovative project or cross collaboration initiative. So Dave, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so to be really brief on it, in fact, it was in the Business Journal. Susan Kelly, who's on our team, was an article published about our Be Well Buddies program, right? So that's the theme of it, Be Well's, but I'll give you a little backdrop of how that started. So we collaborated with a technology innovations lab accelerator. They were based out of St. Louis. They sit on the WashU campus. We started work with them in 2021 to look at, really, the mission was to drive innovative solutions for us. They focus in the healthcare space, in the healthcare industry. We serve the senior market. Our objective was, hey, we put a challenge in front of them, which was, how can we engage and interact with our customers to drive greater customer retention and provide a rewarding experience? In healthcare and insurance health, you see the customer by claim. We wanted to engage it more than claim. We wanted to say, we want to be here with your healthcare journey. As you move through life in your senior market, how can we engage? So They helped us, assisted us in advancing our thinking. And then we tested concepts that led to a design solution to provide what I call digital-based rewards program for our customers. And that took us about 2.5 years going back and forth. They're not in this industry specifically, but they are definitely in the healthcare industry. They work with health providers, hospitals, and whatnot. And we really want to understand the wellness aspect and the challenges that they were facing with, seniors in the healthcare space. And so we have a ton of claims data. So we shared, what we could to say, here's the things we say. Anyway, long story short is we launched a solution this summer. It's a digital-based rewards program tailored to support our business. But think of it as you go online and you have access, you're a member or a customer of Wellebe, you have access to videos on exercise, on how do you save money. It's real time. It gets published every night. We get updates from a third party we partnered in the UK who provides all the content for us, and to really engage our customers. And so far, it's actually gaining a lot of momentum. So I'm proud of this because for those who don't know, we're a mutual holding company. And what that means is the mutual's primary principle is to give back to your customers. That's the number one principle. You think of your customers long-term versus the focus on, I have to, I'm a publicly traded and I have to think quarterly. Ours is a long-term. And so we live that mantra, basically. That's our credo, to say we're giving back. And so the fact that we're engaging our customers through their journey. And look, the objective is to reduce the claims through how? Getting them healthier, right? So we're committed to our members. So that, to me, is probably the most, in the last couple of years, I'm very proud of. And if you haven't read it, I'm putting a plug in. It's in the Business Journal. It came out 2 weeks ago. Susan Kelly's the one behind it.
Excellent. That is a fantastic example of innovation. Thanks so much, Dave. Catherine, same question.
Yeah, and I think about, what Dave mentioned is fabulous, and you constantly think about innovation. I might go just a bit simpler for us potentially. And I think about, the ability to communicate and provide information. And so we recognize the importance of the role that we bring to our customers. And so in order to, ensure that we're a strong partner, which is where we always go as well, we have the customer first, make sure we're a strong partner culture. And that is, how do we ensure that our customers have the information that they need, particularly in very difficult times? So we've really dialed into how do we expand our communications and our outreach, and how do we take advantage of all the tools that we have and be proactive with it, right? So if we think about the most difficult times, it's typically during storms, and people are, put at risk, or their businesses aren't able. Can we go to school? Can we run our businesses? Do we bring people into work? And so that information they need. And we need to be able to quickly get our power restored. So we've changed so much over the years about how we are prepared. So we watch the weather. We've gotten really good at watching the weather. We've gotten really good at helping to predict and working with it as it changes. We stage our crews. And we also then get prepared so that we recognize what level of a storm is coming. And we have our mutual aid assistance already started so that we know that if folks have assets and resources that they can bring here that maybe weren't impacted by the storm, we do that as well. So obviously that's a big piece, is getting prepared. And so we're ready to hit the ground running as soon as we possibly can. Now we're doing all that. And if our customers don't know that we're doing all that, that doesn't help them, right? Because then they start to hit panic. So now we've embraced technology simply, right? We send out messages to our community partners so that they know what we're doing, that they understand our resources are ready to go. We also then, through My Account, which is the online tool that everybody can log into, our customers can sign up for their own personal alerts. So you go in and you say, I want a text alert, I want a phone call, so that you get those updates as we can provide them during the outage times. We also then have an outage watch map. So you can just log on from your phone anywhere and see how we're doing with our restoration. We also take advantage of our social media channels. So it's being proactive, right? And constantly providing that information. Information's power, and having it at your fingertips is incredibly important. And that allows that collaboration to continue, right? Because we send messages out to our chamber partners, to our partnership, to all of the mayors and city council members, city managers, so that they have that. So if somebody's not seeing it, they have it and they can get the information out. That's collaboration, that's communication, and that really helps us with our customer satisfaction work.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah. Really, really appreciate that, Catherine. And as one of the recipients of your many emails, I'm always thinking of you during those late nights and early mornings when you and your team are working nonstop. So thank you. David, same question.
Yeah, just a quick example of something that we're working on right now. In fact, and I'm not as techie as Catherine and Dave are, but so bear with me here. But we're actually in the midst of developing what I would call like a prototype AI system that will allow us to ingest documents, apply scoring criteria, which is in turn going to let our underwriters, it's going to make their lives a lot easier. And that's going to lead to quicker turnaround time. It's going to give our team more time to focus on the more complex submissions that come in. And where the collaboration comes in with this is we couldn't have done this alone. So we partnered with a local firm who has experience in this space. They're helping teach us how to do this. So the next project, we'll be able to maybe even do this on our own. So collaboration is really a key for us in that regard. And then I would also note that I'm so excited about this project because I think that NCMEC has resisted the urge to just jump on the AI bandwagon. We've carefully picked projects that it made sense for, and also really went out of our way to find the right partner because there's so many options out there. There's so many paths you can go down. But I think at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that if you're going to do something, it makes sense and it leads to a better experience for your team and for the customers.
Excellent. Thank you. So looking at the clock here, we have about 10, 12 minutes left together. So again, want to invite our attendees, feel free to drop any questions you have into the chat box. And if we have time, we'll get to those. But also, let's just spend a little bit of time talking about AI. We were talking before the start of this call even about AI. David, you've lifted up a great example. Any others want to jump in on how you are leveraging or thinking about AI and implementation of AI in your organizations? Any other examples?
Yeah, I'll just jump in with David's comments. I think about this as that we will not be an early adopter, but a fast follower, right? I think David said it best. You can go down so many of these avenues, and the next thing you know, you've spent a lot of money and nothing's materialized. So we have to understand where we sit in this space in terms of being a small player. But there are opportunities that you can really drive deeper and to maybe even take it more refined. What David said is that we leverage what we would call POCs or proofs of concept to say, hey, let's incubate this and see if this works. And we may take a function within an area like service or claims and then push it out, or finance even, and see if that works. So it does two things. One is it gets our team, our individuals up to speed on using it and embracing it. And second, it helps us understand, is this really something that's going to drive value for the business, or is it just, hey, I'm doing it because I'm doing AI. I would tell you, though, that when I think about AI, it is making huge inroads in our industry, and it is going to, in the long run, it's going to change the way we operate, right? It's going to change how workforces come to the table. We're going to see a higher prioritization of the tech literacy, meaning individuals will come out with that, and also just the use of data to make decisions where maybe before you had management looking at reports, making decisions based on it. Now it's going to be real time, and whoever's looking at it may be able to make those decisions in a real time manner. And the capabilities of AI will be the guardrails to ensure that the risks mitigated so they don't make the wrong decisions, right? I mean, that's ultimately where this thing goes when you think about it. So it's here. It's as we always say in our team, and we have a governance model over it, and that is let's not chase the shiny objects. Let's make sure are we aligned to our business needs. So
Well said. Catherine or David, anything else you'd like to add?
I would just echo everything that they both said. And I might just add a little piece of this. It's interesting. I went to the Governor's STEM Council conference last week, and they had students at the junior, in the middle school and high school presenting, and they are leap years ahead of us already by how they're using AI already and how they're using data. And actually, it was super encouraging to think, all right, well, I'll just lean into these guys, right? Because they're going to be coming into our workforce and they're already embracing it, right? It's not something they're afraid of. And it was really interesting though, too. So I think about that excitement about you're going to have this new generation coming in with tools and assets and resources that we don't have as adults already in the workplace. But a couple of them said they use a term we use already, trust but verify. So they're already learning that. And I thought, well, that's encouraging as well, because if they're bringing that into my workplace, wow, that's what we want all day, every day is embrace it, but trust and verify. And I think that really is a concept that we'll probably lean into for quite some time.
Love that. Love that. That's great. Okay, thank you for talking a little bit about AI. I know it's on all of our minds, something that we're talking with our teams all the time as well. So, another question, as you think about barriers to collaboration or time where maybe you had to wear a different hat rather than just your organizational hat, you needed to put those interests aside and do what you felt was right for the industry or our regional community. Any examples that you feel comfortable sharing related to barriers and how you're navigating those, or times that you were able to put your own organization's sole interest to the side and really think about industry, bigger picture, community? And for this one, David, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I could. So we're also a mutual holding company. So really, we exist to support essentially our policyholders. So a lot of what we do is really about making sure that we give back and that we ultimately make the right decisions, not for the next quarter earnings call, but for the next 50, 75 years. I think the most probably the best example I can think of offhand would be during the pandemic. We were getting calls from a lot of our customers who are small business owners, and they were expressing concern that they were having issues navigating the Paycheck Protection Program through their banks because they're small business owners. We weren't talking huge dollars from a bank's perspective. And that really wasn't the business that we were in, but we knew we wanted to help. And we also knew that that's what we did well. We worked well with small businesses. So our team here kind of rolled up our sleeves. This was in the midst of all the chaos in 2020. And we figured out a way to get approval through the SBA to be able to do these PPP loans. We were able to help over 700 small businesses get funding that I don't think they would have received if we hadn't stepped up to do that. We were also able to get, I think, almost every one of those loans forgiven. And that was not necessarily a good business decision for us because we got some fee income from it, but it wasn't significant. But it was so rewarding personally for us to know that we made a difference in the lives of these business owners. And we also built some really deep connections with some folks who are going to be customers for life because we were there when others weren't. And that, though, really goes back to, again, as a mission-driven organization, really wanted to do the right thing. That was just an example of a way that we could do it and kind of live out that motto. And I think it really resonates. And I think our team today, it kind of changes how they view problems. We always come at them from the perspective of, let's make sure we do the right thing and then we'll figure out the rest later.
Excellent example. Thank you. Dave.
Well, David kind of stole my thunder. We did something similar.
Uh,
I actually had thought about this. Ours was a little bit different we're nationwide, and during the pandemic, right, people pay premium dollars, right, to for their insurance policy. We again cover the health side for senior market, and for people that were still actively employed who may have been let go or laid off, they would go into what we call lapse status. We didn't do that. We said, no, we're hanging in with you, right, until you can get this righted. So we stuck with them. And in some cases, we may never have recouped those premium payments, but we said we're through the long term. And I think I'm echoing what David said. It's as a mutual company, you put the member first. And I think in a long term, that word of mouth, it becomes like the network effect, a very positive about your company. So that was a similar thing.
Excellent. Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, I think about, as being a utility and a partner is, we don't say that we're just, your service provider. We are your partner. And so we're always looking for those opportunities to deliver on that customer first and being your partner. And I think about how we have transformed our business in order to ensure that we're meeting the customer's needs. Because we operate as a utility that our customers do have choices. They do have a choice of where they locate or where they expand. And we recognize the role that we play in that. And we have to be able to meet the individual customers, right? Well, they're similar, but everybody has their own needs and their own issues. And the transformation that we've made, I think, is significant. And I think about I'm going to just do a very simple one. We're obviously a manufacturing-based state. We're obviously a strong insurance state and finance. So typically, those businesses, they flip their switch, they need the power, and we're there. Well, now we move forward and we have new, different types of customers coming in, and they have a different way that they use energy and a different way that they bring on the equipment that they use. And so we evolved and we transformed, I would say, and it's been better for everybody to recognize that we couldn't just stay in one path. We had to listen and evolve and advance how we work on bringing folks their energy differently because they were different. And I think that's helped us be incredibly successful because we have been that nimble and agile. So that's on a specific how we serve customers from manufacturing to the data centers. It is very different in the sense of how they ramp up and how they use energy. But then I think about the communities that we serve, right? We understand that there is needs for us to have different facilities to better serve our communities as well. They have needs, they have wants. And as they're putting developments together or they're growing, expanding, and changing, then we are right there along with them too. And I think that's really what it means. That's collaboration. That is adapting to that individual community or to that individual customer to ensure that you're part of their business and helping them be successful.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all. We have 1 minute left, so I'm going to ask one final question and keep it real brief if possible. And this is, if you have one call to action for the business leaders that are listening today related to advancing collaboration, what would it be? What's your call to action for all of them that are listening today? David.
Yeah, I'd say get involved, get your team involved, support each other, support other businesses. I'm convinced that our shared success will attract new investments to the region, and that's ultimately good for everyone.
Love it. Dave.
Open mindset and definitely get involved and be engaged.
Excellent. Catherine.
Be big, bold, and better, and tear down barriers and constraints that make you look small.
So well said, all of you. Thank you so much to our panelists today, David, Dave, and Catherine, for your time and expertise and perspective. We really appreciate you and really appreciate your commitment to collaboration. You are core examples throughout the region that we want to continue to lift up and point to. So thank you for your leadership. So for all of our attendees, please mark your calendar. We do have 3 more of these sessions coming up on Wednesday, October 29th, Leadership and Culture in Times of Change. On Thursday, November 13th, Affordability and Access in a Challenging Economy. And on Tuesday, November 18th, Global Forces, Local Impact. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.